If you're looking to buy a stacked NBA 2K account with max badges and more, visit sportstmb.com. He has been in the community for years and has hundreds of reviews. Click the first link in the description to get your account today.
The Indiana Pacers are currently the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference with a 17-9 record, which I know does not stand out as that impressive. However, 3 of those losses have come from what I would consider some of the best teams in the league, with the Bucks, Sixers, and Clippers. And the first 3 of their games were losses after they had a really slow start, but they eventually picked it up. That was back when people were saying that the Pacers might actually be disappointing. I thought for a second that they would be, because they started off 0-3 to the Pistons, Cavs, and some other team. But they turned it around, and they've been really good since then, and it's been off of the back of Malcolm Brogdon, who is having a career year. As I predicted once they signed him, after averaging 15 points on 50, 40, 90, I figured on a team like the Indiana Pacers, he could put up some more points, and he's been doing that this year, averaging 19 points per game. But what I did not expect was him to be also averaging 8 assists per game, and he's doing this shooting 47, 35, 93. The 3-point percentage is a little bit lower than you would like, especially from a shooter of Malcolm's magnitude. However, I do think that will pick up when Oladipo comes back, which is something we'll talk about in a second. The 8 assists per game has stemmed from the fact that he's worked on his ball handling. Malcolm's always had pretty good passing vision, but he's never really been much of a ball handler, pretty much only capable of doing straight line drives. But now that the Pacers offense has, 1, demanded him to be more of a playmaker and ball handler, 2, he has improved as a ball handler, which has allowed him to get more assist opportunities. The easier you get in the paint, the more the offense opens up, the more options you have on the perimeter, etc. Malcolm has, in my opinion, been playing like an all-star, considering how good the Pacers have been and the fact that he's been the leader of their offense. Next, I want to talk about Domantas Sabonis, who has also stepped up pretty significantly to a borderline all-star level himself. He's averaging 18 points, as well as 13.5 rebounds, as well as 4 assists per game, because he's a pretty damn good passing big man, and he's doing this shooting 51%. Sabonis is a really good offensive center. It's a shame that he's not quite the defender you would like him to be. He has a really good mid-range jump shot. He is really good in the post and off of the pick and roll. And those 4 assists a game come from the fact that he has really good vision, and this Pacers offense allows him to utilize it. Just wish the Bulls would do that with Wendell Carter Jr. And unfortunately, the guy that has been debated who is better against Sabonis for a while, Miles Turner, has definitely not been looking like the better one as of late. He has been disappointing this year, averaging just 10 points and 5 rebounds on 42% shooting as a big man. He is still a very good defender, but the guy has shown so much offensive upside, it's really disappointing that he's been a bad offensive player this year. He's also shooting just 32% from 3, which should be his strength on offense, but it's been appearing to be a weakness. I do expect, however, that to pick up, at least his 3-point shooting. He's not going to be shooting 42% for the whole season, and even if he is a below average offensive player, teams are still not going to leave him wide open, and more importantly, he is a very, very good defensive player, and you can't really afford to not be playing him. And with Sabonis and Miles, the reason there's been a debate for so long as to who is better is because it's really seemed like they've needed to trade at least one of them, but as of late, the 2 of them playing together has actually had a positive net rating for the first time ever, and now this being their 3rd year together. So if Miles, who is a great defender, and Sabonis, who is a great offensive player, can work together in 2019 to be an overall positive, that is a very good sign for this Indiana Pacers team, because it doesn't mean you have to trade one of them for pennies on the dollar. You can keep 2 very valuable players, and they can both be very valuable at the same time, which increases your team's ceiling. Another guy I wanted to talk about is TJ Warren. He also started off the year slow, but he has turned it around pretty significantly. He's averaging 18 points per game, only 3.4 rebounds, but that's not what he's there for, and he's averaging 50% from the field, 39% from 3, and 81% from the free throw line. So he's been really good as a scorer. Doesn't do a whole lot more, but he's a good scorer, so it's fine. That marks 3 guys on this team who are averaging 18 or more points per game. As for some other players who have been pretty good, there is Aaron Holiday, who's been good in limited playing time. He has started to get some more play time lately, and he's been starting at the 2 some games now with Malcolm Brogdon. He is shooting 39% from 3 on 4 attempts per game, averaging 9 points in 20 minutes of action, as well as 2.5 assists and 2.5 rebounds and 1 steal in just 20 minutes. He's a pretty solid point guard, and he looks like he was a pretty damn good draft pick himself from where he went, because I believe he went in the mid to late 20s. And his brother, Justin Holiday, as much as I disliked him on the Bulls, he has been very good in Indiana, shooting 39% from 3 just like his brother, also grabbing 4 rebounds a game. TJ McConnell is getting 6 points and 5 assists in just 17 minutes of action, which would be a double-double in assists if he was getting starters minutes. And Jeremy Lamb, who I thought was a pretty damn good signing considering they got him for just $10 million a season, has played well as a scorer, averaging 15 points as well as 5 rebounds and 2.5 assists, but he has shot poorly from 3, which is ideally his main role in the offense is as a floor spacer. He's shooting just 30% from 3 on 4 attempts, shooting 8 2-pointers a game, which isn't really ideal for him. But he is a pretty decent scorer, and as soon as that 3 ball starts dropping, he's going to be a very valuable player for them. And the last real rotation guy is Doug McDermott, who has been shooting 47.5% from 3. So that is definitely impressive, doing so on 4 attempts per game and 21 minutes a game. Basically doing the one thing that he is good for, which is obviously 3-point shooting. But now if we can talk about why I think this team is going to be a sleeper contender, it's because Victor Oladipo is going to come back before the playoffs start. I'm not sure what the exact timetable on that one is, but he's going to be back by playoff time. And I believe he's going to have a month or 2 beforehand to shake some rust off. This Pacers team is a good team in the East. They currently rank 8th in defensive rating and 16th in offensive rating. Now add Victor Oladipo, who played like a borderline superstar in his first year in Indiana, and they could be very good. They almost made the finals their first year with Victor Oladipo, and this roster is better than that one. If Oladipo came back like he did in the first year with this improved roster, they could be scary. As I said, they are 8th in defensive rating and 16th in offensive. Oladipo could improve that team on both ends of the court. He is a great perimeter defender for a 2 guard. He was actually probably better beforehand, but now that he's taken more of an offensive responsibility, he stepped down a little bit on the end, as players who do that tend to do, but he's still a really good defender. And then you are adding to a team that already has 3 18-point scorers, another 20 to 25 point per game score. So that obviously helps the offense. He is also a good playmaker, and it also would help with their depth because it moves Jeremy Lamb to the bench. I'm especially interested in him being added to this team with his playmaking, because with his playmaking, Malcolm Brogdon could improve that 3-point percentage and become an overall more effective offensive player, still having a bigger role in the offense, however not being delegated to being just a spot-up player, still being able to ball handle and create and things like that, but not also having to force all of his offense himself, having someone that the defense also has to focus on outside of Malcolm himself. Brogdon and Oladipo are both all-star guards, at least in the Eastern Conference they are. And they, on top of that, have 2 other 18-point per game scorers in Sabonis and TJ Warren. TJ, who is also a great floor spacer. That can make for a top 8 offense, in my opinion, especially with the fact that they also have some good shooters off of their bench and just as their role players like Aaron Holiday, Justin Holiday, Doug McDermott, Jeremy Lamb, who you expect to pick it up. That's definitely some spacing on top of having 4 guys who can get you 20 points on any given night. And then, like I said, the defense would probably move up a bit with a guard like Oladipo being added to the team, not only because, again, Oladipo is a good defender, because it also means that Jeremy Lamb is now coming off of the bench getting more of Justin Holiday's minutes. Justin is a okay defender. Lamb is a good one, so that improves your defensive personnel overall. And I think they could move up 1 or 2 spots in defensive rating there. And then offensively, like I said, I think that gets you a top 8 offense. So a top 8 offense and a top 6 defense is definitely a borderline contender in the Eastern Conference. At the very least, it's not a team that the Sixers or the Bucks or the Miami Heat are going to want to face in the second round or the conference finals. This team has what it takes when Oladipo comes back to be a very good offensive team while still being a very good defensive team. Now, I tend to put teams into 2 different categories for what I consider to be a contender, and those categories are the real contenders like the Clippers and the Lakers and the Bucks, and then there is another level below where I would not bet money on them winning a championship, but I also would not be that surprised if they did. And the Pacers would unfortunately have to fit into category 2 because I don't think Oladipo is on that level of player. Not that he can't be down the line, he just currently isn't. But I do think that this team will be towards the middle of that category 2 and definitely be a threat in the Eastern Conference. And I think people need to start paying this team some more respect because they have the potential to be very deadly offensively and defensively. And having a team that can give you both at an elite level is definitely something to be concerned about. So that's why I believe the Indiana Pacers are a sleeper in the Eastern Conference. That's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.